here, what we do every week, we got our NFL power rankings. What we do, we all create our own power rankings. We aggregate it together. We throw it into the computer. The computer spits us out through a very intense and complex algorithm. The top, the 32 teams in the NFL, all ranked in order, so you can trust that as of week 16 of the NFL season, these are the top 32 teams in the NFL. Starting at the bottom, from 32 up to 25, we have the Panthers, the Patriots at 31, the Jets at 30. The Patriots and Panthers have steadily held the two worst teams in the NFL spot for, I believe, 6 weeks in a row now. So, yes. Very
Hey, that's
impressive.
making a good race for that number one pick, though.
Well, the Panthers are
But
doing a good
yeah,
job for the Bears.
they're tanking for
So
no reason.
the Commanders at 29, the Cardinals at 28, Chargers at 27, Falcons at 26, Giants at 25. Every single one of these teams have been eliminated from the playoffs. So, except for the Falcons, I
Falcons.
apologize, except for the Falcons, but not worth talking about. Next set of
I think the Chargers are
teams.
technically still in or able to get in, but
No, I
they're
No,
thought
not
they are
getting
not.
in.
yeah, they
They're
got
they're
eliminated
eliminated.
with the Titans this week.
Yeah, the Titans, the um Jet or
Yeah,
anyway, doesn't matter.
Jets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
yeah.
doesn't matter.
They
They
ain't
all suck.
making
They're
it
not
in.
making the playoffs.
All right, next set of teams. Why you throw me off, Jerry? 24, we have the Titans. 23, the Bears. 22, the Raiders. 21, the Steelers. 20, the Saints. 19, the Vikings. 18, the Packers. And 17, the Seahawks. One team we didn't talk about there, the Packers, just got beat by the Buccaneers at Lambeau Field. Jerry, what about the Packers gives you hope? And what about them do you think they just won't be able to get over the hump? And overall, do they make some sort of a run here to make it to the playoffs, or do you think those other teams are really better situated at the moment?
So I think a sign of light for the Packers is definitely Jordan Love. He's looked pretty good. He's kind of shaky to start the year, but here in the last couple of weeks, he's looked really good. The receivers have started to catch the ball. Unfortunately, the run game hasn't really been there. I know Aaron Jones was out for a little bit, but he was back this week. But they lost A.J. Dillon, so they lost their 1-2 punch there, unfortunately. The really worrying side of the ball is the defense. Their defense stinks. They cannot cover anybody. They cannot stop anybody. I think Rasheed White for the Buccaneers had like 150 yards of total offense this week. Baker Mayfield, 4 touchdowns on him.
381 passing yards.
381 passing yards. If you
Perfect
had told
pass
me
rating.
3 years ago that Joe Flacco would be playing for the Browns and Baker Mayfield would be playing for the Buccaneers and they would lead lead the league in passing this week, it'd be just crazy. But
I wasn't
yeah,
sure where you were going with that, but I really enjoyed it at the end there.
yeah.
The top two passers in the NFL this week were Baker Mayfield and Joe Flacco, yo.
Joe
I don't know which
Flacco.
one's more crazy. That or the AFC and NFC Offensive Player of the week before was
Oh yeah, yeah. Zach
good old
Wilson
boy
and
Tommy and
Geno Smith.
Zach.
Yeah, no, the Packers defense is too bad. They're not gonna be able to stop anybody. They're out of it, man.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the Panthers might beat them this week too.
That'd be tough.
No.
That's a tough
No,
look.
look, seriously, the Panthers hold most of quarterbacks to their worst games. They actually have a good passing defense. That's all I'm going to say with that. Leave it at that.
Interesting thought. Interesting thought. That would be tough to lose to the Panthers. Your playoff hopes are definitely over at that point. Moving on. This is kind of the back half of the good teams. This is in that echelon that's like trying to fight their way into the playoffs, secure a spot, make it down the stretch. At 16, we have Jerry's Broncos, 15, the Colts, 14, the Rams, 13, the Texans, Buccaneers at 12, Jason's Jaguars at 11. Wouldn't it be cool if all of our teams were alliteration, like Jason's Jaguars, and if only your name was Barry's Broncos,
Gary's Jonkos.
and I was Brian's Browns? Wouldn't that be cool? But unfortunately, that's not how it
Imagine not
goes.
being born with the same initials as your team. That's
I
crazy.
know, embarrassing. Number 10, the Bengals. Number 9, the Eagles. Jerry Broncos 7-7. I know we talked about him a little bit in that the Detroit game at the beginning of the show, but what do they have to do here down the stretch to make the playoffs? I don't know for sure if they win out. Is they are they in, or do they need a couple things to break their way?
No, they need some stuff to break their way.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because they lost that game to the Texans, I
Okay.
think that's what's kind of holding them back. Luckily, they do have a pretty easy schedule coming up. Patriots this week, Chargers next week, and the Raiders to close out the season. So three very winnable games. But man, it starts this week. You got to win. You got to beat these teams to get in. Yeah, you need help, but it starts with your own team. Offense has got to start clicking. They got to start pushing the ball to Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy instead of relying on Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams just isn't there this year. I think he had what 20 something yards on Saturday against the Lions. Like it's just not his day. So Russell Wilson's got to be better, and the defense has got to play like they have for the last couple of weeks. They got to force turnovers, get some stops, and like I said, with these three games coming up, very easy to do. They're not easy, but doable. Nothing in the NFL is easy, but it's doable. They'll need some help, and we'll see what happens down the stretch.
It's going to be interesting to see. What did you make of Sean Payton literally yelling in Russell Wilson's face on the sideline when they didn't score three straight possessions? Did you see that?
Yeah, and that was after the offsides call.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why he was yelling at him. But I mean, I like it. You're the head coach. Take control of the team. I know he's your superstar quarterback, but if he's messing up like anybody else, give it to him. Set him straight. Put him in his place. You're the head coach of the team. You're the guy running the team. Take control of the team, which is something that Nathaniel Hackett did not do last year, which is why I'm glad we went out and got Sean Payton.
It. I somewhat agree, but then on the flip side, you have to treat him like anybody else. But at the end of the day, to sit there on the sideline and scream at your quarterback for it didn't look like he did anything on that. I mean, maybe he rushed up, maybe he changed the play. I don't
Yeah,
know, but it doesn't make much sense. Like that's something to me. I would think that you pull him aside, like, "Hey, man, like next time, we're in these situations, blah blah blah,"
yeah,
instead of getting in his face, screaming at him. There, that seemed to me to be uh, a bit much on the sideline. But I also understand where you're coming from. And when you had Russ doing the stuff he was doing last year and being more of a distraction than a help, maybe you do need somebody to do that to him to get him sort of
yeah.
straightforward. So,
Dangerous.
Mr. Unlimited.
I've done some dangerous things.
Interesting.
All right. The
That's
top
my
eight
quarterback.
teams in the NFL. By the way, biggest movers this week. Uh, at number 9, the Eagles, they dropped 5 spots. Pretty unbelievable. And then moving up to number 6, we get to them in a minute. Bills +5. Biggest movers. But top 8 teams at number 8, the Chiefs. Number 7, the Cowboys. Number 6, the Bills. Number 5, the Cleveland Browns. Number 4, the Lions. Number 3, the Dolphins. Number 2, the Ravens. And number 1, the San Francisco 49ers. The Cleveland Browns hold that 5 spot simply because they continue to find a way to win. This was not their best week of football, definitely, but the defense played outstanding regardless of the 17 points given up. As I talked about earlier, we gave up 14 points basically off of 2 pick sixes. It was technically not a pick six on the first one, but it was down to the 2-yard line. And the offense truly gave up 3 total points. And on that possession, there was a phantom pass interference call. So it's like, I mean, we're talking like really almost 0 points given up truly by that defense. They are absolutely incredible. And when you have somebody that through their first 3 games is throwing for over 350, or I'm sorry, 950 yards in the first 3 games as a Brown, that's Joe Flacco, for 200 yards in a fourth quarter. Like, that's a team that honestly could make a run going down the stretch. You know, each week I've been saying kind of like, okay, we just got to find a way to win. Somebody else is on IR. A new player is injured. A new favorite isn't going to be there. But then Joe Flacco has come in and breathed life into this locker room, and he has looked. I mean, I'll say outside of the second half of the Baltimore game that Deshaun Watson played, Joe Flacco has been the best quarterback to put a Browns uniform on this year.
Mhm.
And I think if he can remain steady, we could win a playoff game. We could win 1, 2 playoff games, and who knows at that point what could happen. So the Browns at number 5, best defense in the
One
NFL.
quick point on the Browns too, with Denzel Ward being out, that secondary has really done a great job of stepping up. Martin Emerson and Grant Delpit have played like incredible.
Martin Emerson has given up 0 touchdowns this year.
Yeah,
Nobody's talking about that. His PFF grade's terrible, which I don't understand, but he plays so well. He's so long. He's so physical at the line of scrimmage. His biggest weakness is against kind of those speedy guys, but he's a great player. That whole defense is playing amazing. And again, as we come down the stretch, I truly believe in that defense. And then rounding out the top two, the Ravens 49ers, it'll be amazing to see them play this week. They are the number 1 and number 2 teams on, I feel like, everyone's power rankings at this point. And
hmm
they've been our number 1 and number 2 for 3 straight weeks. Jason, what do you see in this game that's coming up between them? We're going to preview it later, so you don't have to talk too much about it. But just, do you think that winner just takes that one spot, or do you think there's any way that one of the teams drops a little bit depending on the nature of the game?
Um, winner's obviously going to take the one spot. I think it'll honestly be the same as is this week, and that's all I will say with that.
Well, we'll get into that here in a little bit, but these are the power rankings. Remember, this is math. This is like new math. This is like how we've created this. This isn't just someone's random opinion. This is a poll off the street. We're using real calculations to determine these NFL power rankings, and these
Correct.
are the definitive NFL power rankings heading into week 16. Thanks for watching this video of the Unnamed Sports Show. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on social media at Unnamed Sports S. Also, be sure to join us live Wednesdays at 7 p.m.